Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How is everybody doing today? So, it's been another really fast week. I'm sure you guys are used to it. Almost Christmas. I swear it was Halloween like yesterday, and I swear I was streaming like yesterday, so it's been really fast this week. Plenty of Mandelas. Like a lot of mid-grade ones, I just like having them stack up. So I'm actually getting kind of picky now because I just need to like catch up a little bit. A lot of the Mandelas that I have are written down like a month ago. Let's see. There was a hypothetical on here. What if you had a child and then 10 years later you suddenly found out their name was different? Yeah, we haven't had anything quite that weird, but we did have a weird thing where like somebody always knew their name as such and such, and then they got their birth certificate and it was spelled different, and then they're like, oh, they goofed up on the birth certificate, and the mom's all, oh, actually, yeah, that's one option to spell it. Like it was like weird. She was like all wishy-washy on the spelling all of a sudden. They're like their own mother. So I don't know if the mother got the download or what, but that would be pretty weird. Another time somebody found what happened? They went to they went for some documents thing at their country. Like I don't know, they had to get something filled out or something. And then the people said, well, the spelling on your birth certificate doesn't match your driver's license. And, of course, the driver's license is the spelling that the child grew up with. This is actually a separate example, too. Okay, I know it sounds like the first one. And they're like, well, how could I have gotten the first driver's license in the first place if it didn't match my birth record? And then all through their life, nobody noticed that they don't match. And it just happens to be the exact spelling that he was taught as he's growing up. Happened to get on the driver's license and everything. Like every document had this one spelling that he was told, and then yet his birth certificate had a different spelling, and like nobody had an explanation for that. So that was another weird one. So maybe that's how they shift if if it has to be personal. I don't know. Because these are like a little bit older people. They weren't like the last 20, they're not like 20-year-olds we're talking about. I'm talking about people, that's been their name for like 40 years. So for the spelling of spelled it. I think I remember you could say either for me as I was growing up. I did notice that lately some of this stuff with the T, like spelt, suddenly they're saying, oh, people said that 200 years ago. I'm like, no, it was just a few decades ago when it was considered acceptable. So, I don't know. Like, it wasn't 200 years ago. I'm not that old, I swear. Although, the way the speed of days is, I might make it to 200 at this rate. Kind of reading the things here. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead. Spelt for us. Is it still spelt? You gotta check that. Because it might find out that it's 200 years old. I think I usually said spelled. Spelt. Well, I mean, yeah, Liddy, it is, but we have some words that have more than one meaning, so. Spot. Data. Oh, Spot's cat! Yes. I thought he was kind of an orangey colored cat. Data's cat on Star Trek. If you don't, I was even confused for a second. On Star Trek, Data, the robot, had a cat because he was trying to learn how to be more human, and he named his cat Spot as kind of a joke, because Spot is usually a dog name. And not a name that anybody ever names their dog anymore. But okay, let's look at this. And it was like, I remember it being like a plain orange cat. It's a beloved and iconic character in Star Trek. Yes, it is. No, it's still orange. Okay, this looks okay to me. I can't swear on if they had some white or something, but this one does look acceptable to me. I hadn't really carefully inspected Spot, but it does look like it's still an orange. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it changed, because I've got some related kind of stuff coming up. Now, so you don't remember this one? This orange? I remember a bright tabby short-haired. A tabby. Oh, interesting. All right, well, that's a different timeline. While we're on the subject then, this one kind of goes back, okay, but remember the talking horse, the famous Mr. Ed? A horse is a horse, of course, of course. Da 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 da. La 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 la. The famous Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed. What? That's the horse. What coloration do you remember Mr. Ed having? And I know it's black and white, so it's kind of hard to tell, but you could tell the general shading and stuff, okay? I know it's a ways back, because it's even a little old for me. I don't remember Data having cat. It's been a while. You know, he didn't have it on a lot of episodes. But there were definitely, I think that there was one that kind of centered around Spot, though. What was the issue? He was like, Spot is something. He had some kind of concern about Spot. And then he was asking advice from the humans. And spelt was slang. Really? Banned animal spelt was slang? No, okay, last I looked it up, they said it was an archaic usage. But they never said it was slang. Let me just check it. Spelt dictionary. Whoops, let's do it right. A species of grain, yes. Metal colloquial spelter? I don't know what that is. Metal, some kind of metal term, like rock bands. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Wait. After I said I wasn't going to spell it wrong, I spelled the spell. Okay. The irony is not lost on me. All right, here we go. Let's try this again. It's been that kind of day today. I just can't do anything right. I drop things. I try to open things. Stuff flies. I tried to go to the DMV. I got the address. Couldn't find it. And turned out it was an address for a DMV that closed 15 years ago. And it's still on the DMV website. Government. A simple past tense and past participle of spell. Oh, according to this, it's still legal. One of the earliest cultivated forms of wheat, yes? All right. That's interesting because it's not giving archaic it's not saying it's archaic. All right, let's see what Merriam-Webster has to say. An ancient wheat, yes. Grain of spelt, yes. Chiefly British past tense and past participle of spell. Oh, so instead of being archaic, it's now British. It's you guys' fault. So you'd think they'd use it in Australia if it's British. Middle English from Old English from the Latin spelta of Germanic origin. Oh, interesting. So it does seem like the last shift for me, a couple things have I've been hearing people saying things have come back. Like they're coming back, like stuff that hasn't been around for like 8 years or something. Just little piddly stuff, but it's like this last one. I don't even know what it's like. I'm trying to make sense of it in my head, but then I realized I got nothing. Vivian thought he was what? I wonder if cats, if Data's cat is like some kind of crux point, like everybody has a different cat color. For once, I don't see a Mandela. Everybody else sees a Mandela. I kind of like this, honestly, because it's usually me going, no, it changed. The results is like, no, it's always been that way. And you will see that I said red, randomly not knowing that you were going to ask this and having not looked it up. So you know it's true. Mr. Ed, grayish white with black spots. The cat had changed during the series. I wonder if it just shifted during the series, because I have only ever seen this one, and I see no images whatsoever of any other cat. Let's just look at the official lore here, because I'm pretty sure that the fandom is going to say something. Okay, the cat did change, but it changed to... Okay, that makes sense, because the face on that one's a little different one. Or is it? They're both oranges, whatever. Let me just see. Spot was a male cat, Data's pet. Spot was a male cat. She lived with him. Who wrote this? She had a litter of kittens with one of the other cats on the Enterprise D. Data once wrote a poem about her ode to Spot. I do remember that poem. Spot, oh, that was the problem. Spot had tried 221 different formulas of food designed by Data, many of which she did not care for. But she did like his supplement 25. Oh, I think it was about training that was the other issue. He was trying to train the cat. Commander Riker was forced to go to sickbay when she scratched his face. Okay, the cat scratched his face. Not for real, but just in the show. I'm trying to see if we're going to get to any time where they say that the cat switched. So here's the thing. I'm not 100% sure if they switched out with a similar cat, if this would appear in the fandom. Somebody would have to know what was going on the set and blab it. And that may or may not happen. And it is fairly... Oh, here we go. We got it. Spot was initially a male Abyssinian cat. The reason the cat's gender was inexplicably changed was, in reality, that Jerry Taylor decided Spot should have kittens. Also, the cat was first portrayed. Spot died and was then replaced by a pair of other cats. In subsequent appearances, Spot was seen as a more common American short-hair orange tabby, but still as a male. It was only in the 7th season that Spot was first referred to as she. Okay. I get it. So they were going to have a male cat, and then later they wanted it in the script that the cat had kittens. But then they had... It looks like they had a... they had some kind of a glitch in the Matrix because they forgot it was a she and started calling it a he again. Cat is okay. So there were Spot was played by an unknown long-haired Somali cats in her first 2 appearances. What are Somali cats? Long-haired Somali cats? Spot's appearance was changed into an orange tabby cat beginning with the 6th season. Took over the animal casting. Long hair. So it was a long hair. So, you know, it's weird because I can't find any images of these other. What is... Oh, no. Long-haired. That was another one I was trying to look up. Long-haired. That was a Mandela somebody sent me, but it actually turned out to be a meme and not a real one. Long-haired Somali cat. Okay. Okay, so those are still orange. That's a Somali cat. That's a Somali cat. So Somali cats are orange, but they're just like more exotic. So I'm thinking over here, when I was saying they look different, that this is the Somali cat, which looks like it's still orange, I think. And then this one is the regular orange domestic short hair. So when we look, we're going to see, I think, a bunch of orange cats. Oh yeah, Spot was turned into an iguana at one time. You know, I really got to wonder that every time I try to find this cat, there's some weird lighting going on. All right, that is the domestic short hair there. All right, have I, like, solved it, or are we still... I mean, that does not account for a white cat. Okay. There's some confusing on that, because apparently there's been a lot of cats, but it looks like they've all... We're trying to keep consistency with at least being orange. And it was referred to as a male. I never really looked at the anatomy during the show, so if they said he, I assumed it was right. But then later in the show, they wanted to have the cat have kittens as part of the plot line. And then, so they started calling it a she, but maybe they forgot later, and then it was a he again, and... Yeah, we're talking about data. Long-haired cat is called a Persian cat. Nope, not around here. In the United States, there are many different long-haired cats, and a specific long-haired cat with a flat face and a specific lineage is called a Persian cat. Although there are other breeds of long hair, like for instance Himalayans, are not Persians at all. They have a very different temperament. They're long-haired, but they're Himalayans. And there's other breeds. I don't know all of them. Shari woke up. Well, good morning, or good whatever it is over there. Okay, so I don't know. Did I actually solve it or not? It looks like it was always an orange cat at least. So those all look like... It's interesting because these all look like the domestic short hair one. That one looks like the Somali cat. Now, I'll tell you, if you can get a fair lot of cats that look a lot like this domestic short hair. So if they swap this one out. Now, see, this one looks a little different because it's a little less stripy and a little longer, a little bit longer hair. So that might be the Somali. But they are all orange. Can't really tell in that one. Yes, this was one of the shows was about how Spot does not respond to verbal commands. Was that? No, that was not. Okay. So, yeah, if you remember a white one though, I have got no explanation to that. When I hear the word tabby, I actually think of like those gray tabbies, but I'm not actually sure if you call the orange ones with some striping. Is that still a tabby? I'm not 100%. So when you say you remember a tabby, I'm thinking gray. But if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm on a TV show called Who Can Last the Longest Before Losing Their Minds Completely. I have been on the show for 8 years, okay? So I don't know, man. You could go a lot longer than you think. A lot longer. Definitely feel like there's times when I want off the ride, but then there's other times where I'm like, nope, I'm staying on. I just have to see what happens in the end. Ah, you're watching the election. Yeah, that's one of the advantages of like not liking either candidate is you're not really like super worried. It's like, well, whoever wins, I won't like them. But I gotta say, I'm not shocked it's Trump because 4 years ago, when the last election was running, and I predicted that Trump would win that one, and the reason I predicted was because I thought that Trump is so good at stirring up controversy and angst and emotion and getting attention that the timeline loves that kind of stuff, and the timeline would have him in again. And then when he was out, I'm like, dang, so much for that. But now I realize he can stir up even more angst and emotion and just controversy by going out for 4 years, stirring crap that whole time, and then coming in again and stirring more crap. So I kind of feel like I was somewhat exonerated, even though I'm still technically wrong on that prediction. Shari has a wrinkly, hairless cat. Oh, she has a Sphinx? Those things are like Mandelas for me, but they showed up about like 15 years ago, so. And they weren't so darn wrinkly. They just were naked, then hairless. They were hairless. They weren't wrinkly when they came for me. And then now if you go back and look at 15-year-old Sphinx, they were wrinkly 15 years ago. So I can't say it's just a breed standard change. I think the winners are already chosen well ahead of time in our votes. I'm just so suspicious about all of the reality narratives, and I won't say that one's wrong, but there's all these narratives running around, and I just don't know if any of them are real or not real. I kind of feel like it's just narratives you pick from. I don't know how to describe that. Like, how much reality is behind any of those narratives, because how much reality is behind any of it? Like, how much reality is behind Madagascar right now, like changing shape? Are there, I don't know, but clearly stuff can just be almost anything, or be one thing and then be another. So like today this is new salt, and tomorrow it might be you salt, and so how can you really get attached to any one reality when it just today it officially says such and such happened at the Boston Tea Party, and tomorrow it says something else totally happened at the Boston Tea Party, historical event in the United States. So how can you believe anything? Like, how can you really feel confident about any reality or narrative? I was not worried. It was exciting. I think I look at the election more as like from a psychology standpoint now. Like how people deal with things, how people react. Like one of the things I did was I went on Reddit, and they have a subreddit for each generation. So they have subreddit Gen Alpha, subreddit Gen Z, subreddit Millennials, subreddit Gen X. I think they have subreddit Silogen. I didn't actually check, but just to see how the different gens were like handling it. And by far the millennials were absolutely in meltdown. Like, they are convinced that democracy is at an end. The country is going to become Nazi Germany. I mean, there was a lot of that, and there weren't many people pushing back on like, this is an exaggeration. It was like, and then I went to Gen X, and there was a lot of like, well, clearly millennials didn't like Trump. And Gen X, a lot of the people on that sub, at least, don't like Trump. And so they were like, well, people are stupid and I'm disappointed in humans. That was their thing. Like, the world's not going to end, but they're disappointed in humans. I'm like, okay, well, at least it's a little bit more moderate. I can understand it. I don't know if I agree because I didn't like either one of them. And so, like, I just don't see loving either one of them. But at least I can understand that viewpoint to an extent. Then I went over to Zoomers, and they're like, they were shocked that Trump won. This is a very interesting take I had not thought of. All of those Zoomers on Reddit spent a lot of time on Reddit, I think, and they heard from a million people on Reddit that nobody likes Trump and he'll for sure lose, and everybody on Reddit doesn't like him. So I think they thought, clearly Trump is unpopular and can't win. So then when Trump won fairly decisively, they were all in shock. And immediately they started going, well, this proves that Reddit is an echo chamber. And so they were getting all meta, and they're like, so what's happening on Reddit is not a real example, and when they tell you stuff on here, it doesn't represent reality. And then they started talking about, well, maybe there's a lot of bot farming and a lot of paid, like, posts, and so they all went meta on that, and that was really interesting. And they weren't really freaking out about Trump. They were freaking out about how controlled Reddit is. Okay, so then I trotted over to Gen Alpha, and they were like, orange man, haha. I mean, like, they were just making fun of it all. They're just like, for real, and just making jokes, and like, and mostly ignoring it. So that was also really interesting. Those two gens are just, the other thing I noticed about Zoomers and Alpha is they were actually either joking or just really being intellectual about the whole thing. Well, what does this mean for us? We'll have to find out. Maybe, and someone said, what if he does this? And someone else would come and say, well, he says a lot of things. It's hard to say what he'll really do. And, I'm like, I pretty much agreed with all of their stuff. So I was actually pretty happy to see that Alpha and Zoomers were pretty grounded in their approach to the situation. None of them were like freaking out, but none were giant fanboys. None were like fanboys of anybody. They were just being realistic. So I like that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't liked what happened in the last 4 years. But then I also feel Trump is a very big question mark. I kind of feel like I kind of know how it would go if we kept going with Dems. But Trump is a trump card. He's a wild card. And you just don't know, like, he's kind of fickle. And you don't know where he's going to trot off to. He says all kinds of stuff. A lot of it's contradictory. And you don't know what's next. So I really don't know, like, what he's going to do. Of course, whenever we get a new prez, I always hope they'll turn out better than I thought, and maybe things will be, maybe some good things will happen. I'm usually wrong, like almost always, but I still try. Yeah, I don't think that the Dems really had a lot to work with anyway, though. I mean, the economy's bad. Ukraine war is not going well. Russia is steadily gaining territory at a faster and faster rate. We have very little weaponry left to donate to the cause, and Europe as well is running low. We don't have the manufacturing to build more at any kind of reasonable rate. It'd be years. We also need to save some for any other potential wars, which we're always meddling in. Russia did not collapse. They've actually, I think, I'm surprised at how well they've handled their situation. The U.S. dollar's been undermined due to the no longer using the petrodollar. There's been a lot of things that have happened. I mean, just cost of food and housing is so hard on people now here because, I mean, literally a lot of foods have doubled in price. So there's just so many things like that. And I just don't see how the Dems can really, like, get out from under that anyways, no matter who they pushed forward. And they started multiple wars, which I hate. Now, I can't say that the Republicans won't either, because they're famous for that, but... So I do think they had a real uphill road. They didn't pick that good a option to try to push it, but I don't know if they could have done anything. All right, this is a bizarre one. Hale-Bopp, Comet Hale-Bopp. So Jackie was asking me about if I remembered Comet Hale-Bopp. Now, remember, I'm older than Jackie, and so it is kind of easier for me to remember some of these stuff. I'm not saying for sure it's not a Mandela effect, but for everybody, I'm sure some people, it might be. I do remember Comet Hale-Bopp, and it was like a big old deal at the time, because they're like, how are you gonna, like, comets were rare back then, and they're like, oh, we're not gonna see another comet like this for 1,000 years, and, you know. But here's the thing. I only remember you still had to look at it with a telescope, okay? Like, I couldn't look at it unless I went over to somebody's house who had a telescope and knew where to point it, and it was like, it still took some fidgeting, right? You know, it's not like you just look at it, okay? But now, when I was looking into this for Jackie, and I can't even remember, I think her Mandela was just she never heard of it. But when I kind of looked at it, and it mentioned that you could see it with the naked eye, and I'm like, no, you can't. So now they said it was visible to the naked eye for a record 18 months due to its massive nucleus size. It's twice as long as the Great Comet of 1811, the previous record holder. So now, instead of being pretty much the only comet in town for eons, now it's just a big deal because you could see it for 18 months. Okay, so I'm thinking, well, maybe it was like a little dot in the sky, like a star, and I just didn't see it for that reason. But then I saw this image, and I saw this in Google, and I'm like, that can't be it. But it's it. Okay, this is what it effing looked like in this timeline. And I promise you, for 18 months, that was not in my effing sky. I mean, like, the F, this was not there. You couldn't see it. I mean, like, I was willing to give that maybe if it just looked like a dot and I would think it was a star. But I remember, you know, they're saying, get out your telescopes. You know, you're going to have a long time to view it. It's going to get bigger and bigger. But it was a telescope thing. They would give the court, look on your telescope to this direction and blah, blah, and set your... And I never actually saw it because I didn't know anybody with a telescope. And I could just go online and look at it anyways, you know? It was not this. This would have been epic. 18 months in the sky, this? That's crazy town. That is utter crazy town. No way. I thought this was fake or something, and then I found it. It's right there on Wiki. I'm like, no. Can you imagine seeing that up there? I mean, did you guys see this? I was at 97, I think it was. 97. When did it come? You kind of have to be a little bit old. It appeared in January 1977. It was already bright enough to be seen by anyone who looked for it, even from large cities with light-polluted skies. The internet was a growing phenomenon at the time, and numerous websites that tracked the comet's progress, provided daily images from around the world, became extremely popular. No! I was on the internet earlier than that, I'll tell you. Let me see. When did I get on the internet? Like, it was before this, anyway. It was before 70, 80, 20s. I'm trying to remember. Oh, wait. It's not that interesting. I don't need to spend an hour thinking about it. But, yeah, let me just say, I was on the internet when this thing came around. And I did hear about it on the internet, etc., etc. There's no way. There is absolutely no way. And there weren't that many images because you had to have both a telescope and a way to take a photo through your telescope. And very few people had that ability. You had to have a really nice setup. Comet Hale-Bopp's neutral sodium tail. The straight tail extended up to the left from the nucleus. I don't even know what they're talking about with this nucleus crap. I've never even heard of this comet nucleus. I guess what? That's the actual comet instead of the tail? They're calling it the nucleus now? Is the solid central part of a comet, formerly termed a dirty snowball or an ice dirt ball. A cometary nucleus is composed of rock, dust, and frozen gases. You know, I mean, like when I was a kid, comets were generally assumed to be chunks of rock. But it seems like now most of them are like these snowball things or something. So maybe that allows us to have way more comets making way more nice streaky things in the sky without having a whole bunch of like destruction, because it's really just ice and so it just melts, which is kind of cool when you think about it. Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody remember seeing Hale-Bopp? I mean, you can clearly see that. You look up there, that would be epic. The Hale-Bopp could be seen with naked eyes. It was in the sky of Germany for a long time, not for 18 months, but for something like a month. Huh? There's so many funny comments on here, but I don't want to take sides too much. Remember, I don't like either one of them, so when anybody dogs on the other candidate, I tend to laugh because I don't like either one of them. I mean, I don't like many politicians anyways. There's very few where I would trust them with $5. Let's just put it that way. So Shari remembers you could see the hell. Did you see it like that, Shari? I mean, does it look cool like that? You know, I think I said before, one of the old paintings showed a comet, and I'm like, we're going to get those for real. Like, we're going to be able to see comets like that. But now it went into our past, so we could, and it could happen again because it already happened. The founding fathers of the U.S. Constitution saved us again. The Electoral College was their safety lock against democracy and demagogues. It didn't, though, because I'm pretty sure Trump got didn't he get he got both the Electoral College and the popular vote. So we didn't need, this is kind of a complicated thing if you're not from this country, but, so I don't want to go all into it, but there's a slight difference between the Electoral College and the popular vote, and sometimes you can win the Electoral College, which is what gives you the presidency, and not win the popular vote. And the reason that was done was because they didn't want the cities and more populous locations to have too much power over the rural and less populous locations. So some of the votes are tallied, some of the Electoral College is tallied by kind of like your land area versus just the population. I mean, they're usually pretty close, but it is not, a lot of the elections are so tight that you could win the one but not the other. All right, I was only a kid in 97. Don't recall anyone make a big deal. I think you know, like usually you'd point that out to a kid. Look, this is this awesome comet. You won't see it again in 100 years or whatever. I am telling you, I'm jumping more and more toward my timeline. So you're getting some of your old stuff back. But the one thing I don't see, unless you guys do, I do not see the body changes going back to my old body. And I don't see the geology changes going back to the old geology. Those guys are one-way tickets, from what I've seen. Ah, okay. Logical Danger does not remember anybody seeing the Hale-Bopp. Well, thanks for coming by. I know you're sleepy. It's late. I totally understand. You got to get some sleep. You can always watch it on the replay. Shari, yeah, I bet it would be totally awesome to see that. The picture is how it was. So you saw that, so Wiki is not lying. Is the Andromeda Galaxy still crashing during Probably. Because stuff doesn't usually get unweird. It just gets more weird. Okay, Liddy saw it in the Netherlands. That's interesting. Like Shari did, apparently. Wasn't that the comet that Heaven's Gate cult members killed themselves? Yes, that's a whole nother story. And it happened here in San Diego. There were some reports of a strange object supposedly following Hale-Bopp. The story was that it was an alien ship, and they came to collect, I don't know, like their followers, and somehow there was a cult that developed, and the way to get to the ship was to kill yourself. And they did it voluntarily, and some of them at the end decided not to. So it was, I think it was like 12-ish people did it. They tried to push us to the negative timeline, but it was not possible. Okay, Joe Bloor remembers you needed a telescope. I'm come from the boring timeline. I have to say that there's so many amazing things here. Planet Mars, we could see glowing red or not. I could not see any of the planets at all in my timeline. And then Mars showed up, and then Venus, I think, was next, and bit by bit. 90s was the last decade when things were somehow normal. Yeah, about. It really kicked in around 2012, though, like hard. So I still kind of put that as like a marker place. Yeah, you can see Venus, but you can see, I think it was 5 of them you can see now. Granted, some of them are just little dots, but they are visible. And Venus is really bright. Let's see. How many planets can you see with the naked eye? Five. Okay, it's still 5. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. I believe that that is the same number of ones as before. Always bright and shining with a steady silvery light, Venus is one of the easiest planets to spot. Although I remember Mars being the first one that showed. Mercury is challenging to see, but is visible in the morning hours or twilight. Jupiter is bright and prominent, making it easy to spot with the naked eye. Saturn is still visible, especially when it's at opposition and appears as a bright, steady point of light. Oh, wait now. Now, trusting the AI here, which is always, well, it's not always a good idea, but Uranus and Neptune are not typically visible to the naked eye, as they are much farther away from the sun. However, with the aid of binoculars or small telescope, these planets can be observed. Not typically visible. It kind of leaves a little open space there. Let me just look over here and see. Naked eye planets. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Why are there more than 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Why is that there? All right. Oh, this is bull. So they're... I swear it was 5, but now Uranus is just visible to the naked eye when at its brightest, but only when seen from dark, non-light polluted skies. Observers in the city or town locations will probably have difficulty seeing it without optical aid. Okay, so they're coming. The rest of the planets are on their way. Uranus has sneaked into reality. Wait, let me go back. Uranus, Neptune, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so Neptune, seriously? Like Uranus, Neptune has also been unknowingly observed by other astronomers. All right. All right, that one does not look like it's visible to the naked eye yet. At least they're not mentioning it. But Uranus was visible. Pluto, really? Pluto cannot be seen with the naked eye. All right. So Uranus is in. Pardon all the jokes. You can sometimes see Uranus now. So there has been an addition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So that would make it 5.5 to 6 now. I'm quite positive Uranus was not on the list before. There's a flock of gay sheep in Germany. They were now advertising with the gay wool. No, I know. You can't tell anymore. These gay sheep with gay wool. How did they breed them? I guess they need help. Gay wool. Is it softer? Is it better? Oh, no. Germany. Okay, Germany. Germany. How do you get gay sheep? This yard is spun from the wool of over 20 gay sheep, while gay rams typically have no value. In industrial farming and are often slaughtered, they live full lives at Rainbow Wool Farm, providing high-quality wool for statement fashion pieces. How do you even know if they're gay? I mean, they could just get any old sheep and, these are gay sheep. You can see how untrusting I am of business people. But, I'm in business, so I know how easy it is to just say whatever, and people will have no idea. There's so much of it in the industry, of every industry, it's just ridiculous. Like, one of the things I sell, the furry tails, and there is no good source of high-quality tanned furry tails of animals that died a natural death. It just can't happen. They're always done in bulk, otherwise it's low-quality tanning. You can't even pick up roadkills without a hunting license, and they have to be in season. Rarely you might get one. If you don't get there fast enough, then the quality of the tan will fail. It's nearly impossible. Maybe you get one once in a blue moon. It'll be poorly done because it's not commercial tanning. But there are people on there that just sell hundreds of tails and claim that they are all natural death fur, and it's such a lie. So there's just one example from my own industry. I know they're all lying their pants off. And sometimes they claim they're on an Indian reservation. I'm like, nope, that is not going to explain it. I'm just wondering if they had, like, somebody had some sheep and they're like, what can we do to get people to buy our stuff? We'll say they're gay. I've never even heard of gay sheep. Like, I guess maybe you just have some that are too lazy to do their job. You would think that nature would cull those out pretty fast because they can't do their job. They can't spread their DNA. Persia planet rainbows. So when they had the IMEC conference in Idaho, that was like one of the darkest skies in the world. They have official dark skies. This is cool. It looks like it's, is it jasper or is it some kind of salt thing? I think we've looked at these. Rainbow Cave. Cave, blah, blah. Small valley, 15 minutes. That's cool that you can go caving in a rainbow cave. I've not really seen that yet. Colored soils. Okay, I think we did do this. Colored soils then. So it's not rock. That would be kind of scary because soil can just collapse anytime. The red soil mine. The whiteness of salt can be seen along the orange color of the soil. Okay, so there's a bunch of salt. I think we had these on before, though. They are cool. If I remember correctly, there's a bunch of cool stuff around like that. We're getting a lot of colored salt. Again, those are the mines that make me nervous because they're not stable. It's crumbly soil. So, like, some of the mines around here are just carved out of solid rock, like the turquoise mines. So I feel really comfortable in those because it's just a wall of absolute solid rock. It's just not crumbly. But then if you go to the tourmaline mines, tourmalines are in these crumbly veins. And those mines, you just never know when a whole bunch of soil and crap will just... They'll just... people die, okay? You just don't know. There's actually a mine around here that had beautiful, like, turquoise blue tourmalines. So they're clear. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Very high value. But it had multiple cave-ins, and people were just too afraid to work it. It's just not worth your life. Since 2016, there was no stars in the sky, no matter which country or continent I went to. So I'd say around until maybe 2012, I could see just a ton of stars up there from my location. Just a super megaton. That was back when night skies were pitch black, and when the moon was not up, which was once a month, well, once every 28 days, there was no light other than artificial, like it was black. That doesn't happen anymore, and the sky is not black anymore. It's gray. And you can see, I could see a million stars, but that never existed in my area, I don't think. And even when I went to the Idaho supposed lowest light, one of the lowest light pollution places in the world, I was like disappointed at how amazingly few stars I could see. That was nothing like my old reality. Nothing. Insta. Ooh. Is that real? I'm like really suspicious. I'm really, really suspicious of that. That can be faked. Rainbow Valley. I'm really suspicious of that. Can it go again? Go again. Go again. I don't believe it's real. Frankly, I mean, it's too sparkly. Even for salt. Those colors are too bright. I am very suspicious that might be like some kind of AI thing or something. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know of anything that good. Yeah, see, that's exactly my point. I mean, like, humans, we have, and we want to have control over our own reproduction, and it's kind of a whole different thing, and we have a whole social structure that alters things, and hormone changes, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But animals, it's pretty raw reality. If you don't spread your DNA, then you are not going to have any offspring, period. So, like, humans, we can kind of, you know, like, get some offspring out, even if it's not our, like, favorite thing. You know, there's just, it's a whole different kind of situation. I just don't see how a bunch of sheep are going to be not bred out really fast. Like bi, I could see like they're gonna get the job done at least some of the time, but not. I just don't see how gay would last. It's mainly colored salts. I know, but I mean, like we have a lake near here that does the pink salt crystals, and I have seen like hundreds of those because our people would go out and harvest them every year, and they're not that sparkly. They're just nowhere near that sparkly, and you can't wet them because they'll melt on you. So I'm just really suspicious that there's just not, salt is just not that sparkly, and not in any timeline I've ever seen. I'm just wondering that they sprayed it with some like something sparkly, like maybe polyurethane, or is AI. I mean, I'm not saying it's that the real one isn't pretty, but that just does not look like salt. All right, let's check out this video. And I don't want to be mean. I'm sure I would do it too if I lived there, but third world countries are famous for their ability to fake stuff really well. Because people have nothing better to do. They can't get a job in a lot of these places because there are not enough jobs go around. They've got to get innovative, and their brains start clacking, and they figure out how to make something out of nothing because of high motivation. Plus, labor is cheap, you know. If you just get paid $2 an hour, you can sell it. All right, I don't want that music on there because I don't know if it's copyrighted or not. You know, I mean, like, why is it so blurry? Like, it's completely focused. I can't even really understand what I'm looking at. It doesn't look like the other one, though. This one looks a lot more realistic. So if you look at that, you've got a lot of different colors. I don't see nearly as much sparkles, but it's weirdly super out of focus. Also, on these videos, you can turn up the color contrast really high and like bring out more. So it's like neon purple, maybe it's not. Because all of the natural lighting images I saw weren't this bright. So I'm thinking that what this is a video that maybe the contrast has been turned up a little on the coloration. See, so blurry. Why can't you see more? Yeah, see, that doesn't look nearly as sparkly as the other thing, though. This definitely looks more, see, like here, that looks more like actual, realistically, what it could look like colored sandstone. I think they might have just cranked the saturation a bit. Not to say we won't get to a timeline where that isn't true. Maybe it is true in some timeline, but I ain't there yet. Oh, this is super not working, so I'm going to give up on that one. %10 of all of sheep rams are gay? Seriously? I don't understand how that would be possible in nature. I could see bi. I don't understand gay. 1 in 12 sheep is gay. Maybe they mean bi. Okay, exhibit homosexual behavior is not the same as being totally gay. 6 to 8% have homosexual preference throughout their lives. Another study reported 8% exhibit same preference. A third study mentioned that 10% refused to mate with ewes, the females, but readily mate with other rams, indicating exclusive behavior. See, that last is what I don't get. These ones, it's like, well, I mean, they're probably just whatever's available. But this one does not make sense to me. So I guess we'll just have to wait for that to spin out. I guess who says nature has to make sense anymore? Homosexual behavior in sheep rams is well documented and studied. Some studies suggest higher percentage of bisexuality, 18 to 22%. See, I can see that. They're just not picky, I can see. Yeah, I wanted to make a joke about the potato. I know, I did. And that's why I'm a little suspicious when the video quality is so horrible in this day and age. Because even like poor people in Africa have decent quality video out of their phone these days. So, Red Beach in the same island. We've had these on before. Thirsty to get something to drink. I think we've had this Red Beach one in these caves on before. See here, I had looked up this one and then I looked up other images and I felt again that this one was probably saturation enhanced. Although, dang it, that looks pretty realistic there. Actually, that's pretty impressive. It's that red on the... That's an interesting image. Assuming it is real, which I kind of feel like... I don't know why, but I feel like that one's real. I've seen a lot of these red beaches and colored beaches. I have not seen any of them color the ocean right next to it to even a tiny extent. Beyond like, you know, maybe an inch deep water. This is the first time, and this is interesting. Right, what do we got here? That is interesting. I think this one still has been enhanced a little because I'm just looking at the brightness of like these little bushes and stuff, and they're too bright. The bushes are just not going to be that neon. And then I think there's a little towel here, and it is about punching you in the eye for the size. So I think that again has been colorness enhanced. It's so easy to do. But, you know, I've looked at Hormuz before, and I did not see this coloration of the ocean. So that, I think, is a new level of something. This is very bright. It's, you know, the water is more bright than the dirt. Like, a lot more bright. Okay, now you see how her blue is, like, popping and kind of smacking you in the face? That's what happens when you color enhance. Everything in there gets enhanced. And so the blue is really strong here. And so I think this is all color enhanced. But still, just the idea that the water would be brighter red than the actual dirt that's supposed to be coloring it is strange to me. Okay, again, out here you can see coloration of the ocean. See how bright that pops. I'm suspicious of this, but still. Oh, interesting. See, like, come on. It's not that red. I don't know. Maybe in another couple of shift years, it will be, but I don't think it is just yet. This, I think, might be the real color here. That looks realistic. So you can see how bright the ocean is. And I do see oceans naturally that beautifully blue. The sky has it's nice, but it still looks like a perceivable color. And then the green here of these bushes, that looks about right. That looks fairly natural. So I think this is close to reality here. Red, but it's not like blood red. It's not this. I'm really suspicious about this. Now she's got all gray on, so if you crank the heck out of the coloration, you would not see it in her very much. But her, right there, her little boo-bahs on her hair look very bright. Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. It's so easy to fake. Since I actually, take photos and I have to fiddle with this for a living, I know how easy it is. So when I take photos, I'll take 10 photos and the camera just can't settle, and each one will have a different range of color hues, even though it's the exact same object. So I actually have to fiddle with all the saturation and stuff to get them to all both look about the same in color and to be actually kind of what you would see when you get it. Because if I make it look amazing and then they buy it and it doesn't, I'll get bad reviews. So I can't be fooling people. I try to make it so when they pull it out, it looks just like the photos. I didn't know animals had sex for pleasure. Well, I don't know. I think when we were a kid, we would just say that, the males were too stupid to know what they were doing, like cats and stuff. Oh, this thing, I actually got this from Goodwill. Very cheap. Super nice fabric. It was such a deal. I love this kind of fabric where it's all weaved in. The pattern is in the threads, not just printed. What is that? Jacquard, I think it's called. I love Jacquard. So it's like a little jacket. It's actually pretty cold in here. I should show you the cat, too. The little kitty that I've been taming is now tame enough to show. But I wanted to show you his colors because I've never seen colors like this. I think he's like a new timeline cat or something. And granted, this is a stray, okay? It's not like a special breed or anything. And this color popped out of him. Come here, little kitty. Go, kitty. I'm just going to show you off for a second. You'll fine. You'll fine. He's still a little... I've only been picking him up for a couple days, so he's still a little nervous. Little kitty. You'll fine. Hopefully you can see him. Hold still, kitty Mal. Yes. All right. So... you see the back of his ears, they have this white stripe on them. Shh, you're fine. And then the front, he has this mask. Ooh, you're fine. I'm going to let him settle and then I'll let him go. You're fine. Shh. All right. I'm going to put him back. Hold on. You're fine. Kitty. I still got to be careful handling him because he's not totally comfortable getting picked up. But I don't like to let them go if they squirm because that'll teach them that all they have to do is squirm and then get their way. So but I can't clutch onto him too much if he's really panicking because I don't want to die. So it's a tricky one, but. So that worked out perfect because he did kind of panic, but then he got it back together. Then he calmed down, and then I put him down. So that one is, I don't know, he's like 3-ish months old or something. Yeah, they do grow so fast. And that's not Demon. Demon's the black one, and Diamond's the gray one. And this is one of the kittens that have been showing up that I've been working on this last week. So I could not touch him before, and now I can pick him up. So he's doing pretty good. And he is not a super aggressive cat, as you could see. Even though he's a little panicky, he didn't like try to rip my head off or anything. Yeah, his cute. So he's got like this. He's white, and then he has a gray tabby splatters. So it's gray, but with lines also. So he has all these gray lines, dark gray lines. And then he has the mask. And then the back of his ears has those 2 weird white stripes. Also, his nose is, it has like a little bit of black under the bottom of his nose. And then the top is all pink. So he's kind of got like a little mini mustache or something. It's very weird. I've never really seen... Especially the ears, the ear pattern with the white. I've never seen that. So these are strays, actually. The door is cracked, and they go in and out, and I've been trying to tame them. So I've got Diamond tamed. Demon was already a sweet kitty. He's a little rambunctious, that's his name, but he's not mean or anything. Diamond was very easy to tame despite being 6 months. She's very sweet. And I've been working on this one hard. And now there's 2 black ones I'm gonna work on next. So if anybody needs a kitten, he's beautiful. He's very beautiful kitty. He's very food oriented, which helped with the taming. He'll almost do anything for liverwurst. Yeah, he might be getting on to 4 months. I don't know exactly how old they are. No, he doesn't have the pouch thing on his body. No, he's definitely not 6 to 8 months. He's pretty small. And since he is a male now, I know. I only found out a couple days ago because I couldn't really get close enough to really look at him, but then I could. Where do you live, Prelim Minimal? I'll send you 2 kittens. I got that one tamed. He's pretty nice. And like I said, he's not a cat that chooses violence, which I like. Just by his nature, he doesn't choose violence. Now, he is piggy for food, and I swear you got to watch your food because he will nab it, and he will take it, and he will just run off with it. His nickname is Piggy. I call him Speckles or Skittles, but his nickname is Piggy. Diamond is one of the sweetest ones. That's that gray one. I mean, her nature is just pure sweetness. Yeah, Diamond is, I think, the sweetest one in here. He's not a bad cat, but he's, a little more selfish and, not evil way, but he's like, give me mine, I want it mine. He's Mr. Gimme Gimme. So, like, kitties, unconditional love is not always the word I'd use for most cats, but they are certainly entertaining in their way. So, yeah, I need to find a home for him. He's basically still a stray. I don't think anybody owns them. Like I said, they were quite feral. There's one of his siblings. Oh, that one is one of them choose violence type cats. So I want to get homes for these ones, these little guys, especially him, because if they catch him, if the Stray Cat Alliance catches him, they'll cut his ear. They'll neuter him and cut his ear, and I feel like it's kind of a crime in his case. They'll snip the end of the ear off, and he has such amazing ears. Yep, so we'll see. I'm making pretty good progress with him, and I think the 2 black ones I'll be able to do. All right, so we did Hale-Bopp. I kind of sad now. I kind of hope I'll get to see another Hale-Bopp like that, because I didn't get to see the in the sky giant freaking comet. Okay, so this one is another from Jackie. Dora from Finding Nemo. Is this what you remember Dora from Finding Nemo looking like? Is there anything like looks off about Dora from Finding Nemo? Hopefully enough of you have seen it. I'm not a big Finding Nemo expert, but Even I was like, what? What? You have kids. Cats plan things out. Yeah, these guys have it bad. The other thing about him is he does like to scratch the couch, and then you tell him to quit, so he's like, okay. And then 10 seconds later, you walk out, and you can hear him in there scratching the couch. So he's one of them kind. It's not super unusual for cats, but I put some double stick tape on the couch, and he has not touched it since then. The yellow is too much. Okay. Shari says the yellow is too much. Mandanimal says she was mostly yellow. Chloe says especially around the face. I'm not sure what she means by more yellow, less yellow. Very busy shapes on that fish. Don't remember black. That's Joe Bloor. Does not remember the black. So we got more yellow, yes, less yellow, and no black. Let's see what other ones we could find. So apparently this fish was conceived of after this fish, which I don't think I really remember seeing which one Dora was supposed to be after, but I find it interesting that that's showing. Here's another Dora. Stuffed animals. All right, let's see. We got any more? Mostly yellow. The black is weird. Chloe agrees on that. Okay, these cats, I don't think anybody was mean to them. They just were unfamiliar with humans. They're just, they're feral. They're coming along, though. They're not... There's the one, I think it's just his personality. You get 5 kittens, and you'll get the bold one, you'll get the middle range ones, and you'll get the scared one that chooses violence. He's the scared one that chooses violence. There's a gray one that looks kind of like a Russian blue tone. Very pretty. She is the scared one that does not choose violence. Like, she's just skittish, but she won't ever scratch you. She'll just run. And but somebody else has been helping tame her because they put a collar on her and stuff. And I've made a lot of progress, but I think half of it's their problem. She loves getting petted. Once you get going, she's the biggest love bug. But she's just skittish. You move fast or something, she's like, ah. Dory, not Dora. Dory, yes. Dory. All right, so Jackie does not remember the black, and I don't remember the black. That's the first thing I saw, and I'm thinking maybe like this thing changed, and so then Dory changed, or something. Like the upgrades to the real thing mean that the character has to upgrade. I think the yellow was there. I just remember a whole bunch of blue, frankly. So, and the black looked really weird. I'm not sure on the yellow. I'm not an expert on the show, but I was like, what is all that black? Because I still see these characters all the time. It was such a popular show. Mostly blue, little yellow. Okay, then if you tick off the black, it sounds like that would match yours. Except for Mandanimal remembers a bunch of yellow. Because remember, that's not the clownfish. The clownfish is this one. And that one, I think... actually, the black tips on that clownfish are a little... Did the clownfish have the black tips on the fin? I thought it was just... orange and white. I don't remember the black tips on the fins. Look at that. Nemo. Nemo. Look at all that. I think that changed. All right. Whoop. No. Yes, it's on all of them. And look at this one. It has black and then white. Ah. So they've added, like, the reality has added an outline of black and then white on each fin. I think originally for me they were just yellow or orange and white. And then they got this black outlines everywhere. Then they added some white again on the... Okay. So, all right. Clownfish. How do they actually look? I'm going to bet that clownfish are going to be the same. Yep. There it is. Black. There's some white. So, clownfish changed, so Nemo had to change. I think I've had that they have these weird cross pieces on them. I think I've had that on before. I don't remember... like these hooks and stuff. I don't really remember those. This one looks like it's got a white shirt on. So there's more variation, basically. Alright. So, those keep changing. The characters that match them change. I was speaking before about Mr. Ed, the famous Mr. Ed. I really, really remember Mr. Ed being a brown horse, which you might call it chestnut, like a dark brown horse, like most quarter horses are. And frankly, almost all the horses in my timeline were brown. It was like 95% of horses were brown. And I actually went on here to kind of memorize the song just because it's one that's really easy for me to sing. So I would play it and then, like, what are the words again? And it was a brown horse, like not long ago, like a few months ago or less. It was a brown horse for me. And even though this is black and white, you can kind of tell. But in this timeline, it's always been this sort of a light, medium horse with white hair. And I didn't really have that, I don't think, in my timeline. Animals with the white mane and the middle body. It's a beautiful look, and I actually love it. So I looked into the history of this horse, and just to see if there was any other colored ones, and which would be stupid to have, you know, it's supposed to be the same horse, so they're not going to get like a brown one and then a white-haired one. Nobody's going to fall for that. But when I checked the storyline, they said that a chestnut horse was originally planned to be in the show, but he was too stressed out during filming, and he couldn't basically handle it, and he was too skittish, and so then this one was enrolled for the job. And they did swap out horses a couple times, but they swapped them with identical looking horses, so you would not easily tell. Maybe you might notice a little difference in the splash or something, but... So, it makes sense to me because horses now have so many more colors, and the colors are more common from my timeline when everybody was brown almost. But it still freaks me out. He was dark. Yes, Shari. Shari remembers. Mr. Ed. Being dark. Look at him. Crazy. And look, he has this huge blaze, which also kind of freaks me out because I never saw those blazes until the last few years when it was really wide. Like, sometimes it covers their whole face and they're like a ghost face. And then their eyes turn blue, and I didn't have any with blue eyes because they might have a little spot or splatter in here, but it didn't like spread all over their whole face and into their eyes and blah. Crazy town. So all of the Mr. Eds look like this one now. Dark hair, yes, and definitely had dark mane. He was shiny and dark, yes, but not black. It was like brown. Yes, oh, thank you. I don't know why I was going nuts. I mean, I know it's an old show, but... All right. Vivian, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. I didn't know if many people would even remember Mr. Ed, because it does go back a ways. Yeah, it was, for me, it was definitely brown, because it wasn't pitch black. It was just dark. I mean, if somebody told me it was blue, I couldn't tell on a black and white show, but there were no blue horses, so it had to be brown. So just to be clear, I always was checking for the song because I was checking for the famous Mr. Ed. So that's why I know I'm not confused. All right, what's next on the thing? Got that one. Dory. All right, I'm going to do those after I get through these. There was one story I had for last week that there's a couple of things that have changed in here, like suddenly. One is I sell those elytra beetle wings. They're like real shiny. No, I'll show you them. Hold on. I'll be right back. The kitty has gone up to his favorite little sleeping spot on the other chair. But he is eyeballing me suspiciously. Okay, so these showed up for me about 12 years ago. And I was able to obtain them for selling. So they're basically the coverings of the wings of a beetle. You can see I have a lot of them. So all the time I have to drill a hole in these because I sell them as beads. And you can see that they're very lightweight, they're pretty sturdy, they'd make great earrings. You could sew them onto clothing. You can't throw it in the washing machine, but they're still pretty cool. And I have to drill these all the time, like literally at least a couple times a week. And I pulled them out last week, and what's weird is the back is shiny now, and the back was never shiny. And I always was a little, like, I hope nobody hates that the back is a little scungy looking, even though the front isn't. And I tried to really show it in the photos. But now the back is actually pretty styling. It's shiny. It's dark, but it's shiny. And so that kind of tripped me out because this batch I bought a long time ago, and every last wing now, it's shiny in the back. Every last one, assuming there's no, like, damage or something. So, like, 99% of them or something. So that was a change. And the other change is that I have some amethyst. And it used to be that, like, if there was a break on the crystal part, the break would be not too shiny. The break area it wasn't natural, and it would be kind of frosted, I would say. I don't know how to describe it exactly. But I pulled out my amethyst for somebody the other day, and I'm like, oh, this one is weirdly shiny. Even where there's breaks, because I have like these chunks, so around the outside it just kind of naturally cracked off. And then I look at the others and they're all like that, so they got shiny. So I had two things in here that have just gotten like really sparkly, even like the lesser parts of it. So that was just kind of a weird thing. It happened on, like, I saw it within a day of each other. Shit getting shiny, which I like. And hopefully my customers will too. Though I kind of wonder, I'm like, did some customers always see that shine and I just am now seeing it, or what? The beetle wings. So they're not actually, those elytra are not actually the wings. They are the cover for the wings. So the way it works in this timeline is these elytra kind of move aside, and then the wing folds out and they fly with that. It's still ridiculously heavy for a bug, and I don't think it would be doable in my old timeline, but Have you seen the praying mantis that looks like wasps? Yes, that one's been on a couple times. They are very weird looking. Some amazing videos about them and what you can experience with them. I'm not sure what that means by experience, but they are cool. Christmas beetles. I think so. You know, none of these things get gone if they're weird. They'll just get more weird. That's how they upgrade. There are beetles around here that I've never seen before, and everybody's like, oh, well, not everybody, but people are like, oh, yeah, they were always here. I'm like, no, I lived here 25 years. Christmas beetle, commonly applied to Australian beetle genus. Sounds like there's a bajillion kinds of these. Many with no photos. Have I clicked on these before? I don't think so. Alright, well, that's not real helpful, but... So there's a million of them. What did I see the other day? If you've seen those, they... What do they call those? They look like little babies, but they're insects. I swear they're getting so big. They used to be like this big. This thing was like this big. They live in the dirt most of the time, but sometimes they crawl out. Ugh, that was gross. Thank God they're slow moving. It's children's... Something children, they call these things. Because they look like creepy children. Yeah, those elytra are so amazing. And I even can get them for fairly inexpensive. Like, so they sell good because you don't really have to pay a lot for them. Okay, what else? If you guys remember 1984, the book and movie, the symbol for Ingsoc, which is the, like the creepy government overlords people, has changed for me. I'm going to go through this quick because I don't think many of you, not that many of you really seen this, but I remember like what's all this strippy stuff on the black here? This hand and this hand was like the same hand except for this part here. But I mean here and here, there was not like this, looks like this hand was shredded or something. That wasn't like that. I'm actually really trying to think if the hands were actually portrayed inside the V. I don't think they were. And like you see, the edge of the V is cut off here by hands. And I don't think that was the case. So I'm absolutely positive this was not like this. This was a mirror of that side. The hands themselves look weirdly digital and stuff. I remember them being more like realistically portrayed. So I think that's also a change. I'm a little suspicious of it being inside the V. I thought it was more like a V and then like the hands, or there was, I don't know, there was something different about. I would not swear to that one. But those are the changes I see on the Ingsoc. Potato bugs. So we call potato bugs like the little pill bugs that are also called, like they're little sow bug, pill bug things. So we don't call the creepy children looking monstrous ooky ones. We don't call those potato bugs. Not V as in the literal, so that V is from 1984, and actually did it stand for victory? Anyway, it wasn't V for victory like the lizard people invasion of the 1980s. Not that one. So the book was called 1984, but it was written way before 1984 to say that in 1984, it's kind of a political drama about like fascism, communism, dystopian reality kind of a thing. So if you don't recognize that, then don't worry about it. We're moving on. Oh, this one. Why didn't I have this one earlier? Okay. I'm kind of regretting it because this is another one that Jackie found. Let me do this in Google. Rosie the Riveter. Now, there's some older changes still present. Way back, years ago, many of us were commenting on how that used to be an older woman with a little more husky body and like a huskier arm. She was a little more meaty, like it's not somebody who was on a diet, you know, not super fat, but not young and skinny. Okay, so at some point, she changed into a young and trim female with a much thinner arm. Okay, that was the last change. But now we're here, and there are, for me, many additional changes. If you see any, speak up, because this is the official one, minus whatever that is, which is the logo of the website. I actually noticed many differences here. So INGSOC is just a fictitious government organization in this fictitious book, which is kind of a warning about what could happen. And many people hearken, like they talk about it because there's some parallels in current reality. But, so it's famous for that reason. Am I getting tired of saying your name, Jackie? I have to struggle because I still kind of want to call it Jackie, and it's not the right saying. I know you're a real person. I know you're. Don't worry. I don't know where that one came from. Yeah, when I didn't know how to say it, I don't know. I just assumed it was Jackie. Because for me, Jackie, from my timeline, Jackie is Jacky, or maybe Jackie. But if I see a QUI, I'm thinking, okay, we're doing French, accent on the end. Yeah, Shari, the Hale-Bopp was visible for 18 months, not 6 months. I know. Yeah, George Orwell for 1984, the book. Yeah, it's a little bit esoteric. So I admit it. That's why I didn't spend a lot of time on it. Jacqueline is the full spelling. See, but Jackie, it's close. All right, so Rosie. These are the differences that I noticed in Rosie the Riveter. Jackie noticed this one. That she didn't remember the pin. I have mixed feelings about this. When I first saw it, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember that pin. But then I kind of like, maybe I kind of talked about this before. And I'm getting a lot of these now where I have like this mixed memory where half of me says, no, I never saw it. But then another part's like, no, you talked about it before. And I hate that. So I'm not sure on this pin, this lapel pin thing. Whatever it is, button, I don't even know what it is. I'm sure that it was not there originally. But if it's been there for a while or not, I'm not sure. Okay, here's one thing I didn't notice this first, but after I noticed it, it bugged me. And now I can't not see it. The last time I looked at this, and originally, you could see the bicep muscle. The whole point of this was to pull back and show the bicep muscle. So they always did. You can't see it here. It's almost like she's pulling it down to hide her bicep muscle. It's like it's reversed. So even before, when it was a young girl, well, pretty young, you could see that muscle, and part of it was like, okay, it's got a smaller bulge. She doesn't really look nearly as buffed, you know, as the original, but it's gone now. That bicep muscle is now covered. Now, the first thing I did notice was these fingers are weird. They're like, what's up? That it was more like natural looking before. I don't even know if I could do that. Like, you know, it's not comfortable. Okay. They're weird, and they're now pulling down and covering the bicep. Another thing I noticed, thanks to Jackie talking about it extensively last week, is she now has what we call the cleft chin, and what Jackie calls the bum chin over there in Australia. I don't think she had a bum chin. I don't think she had a cleft chin like that. The chin looks weird, okay? It sticks out. The other thing that's weird is his hair. Like, what is going on? I don't know, but it looks like there's an accident up here or something. Her face just looks a little less pretty than it used to, like a year ago. There was a young version with a prettier face and no crazy hair. I think there's something going on with this too. Wasn't it more like just red without the spots? And somehow it's going over the ear and stuff. I thought it was just doing the hair. I mean, if I put a thing on, I usually don't cover my ears. I'm working here. I need to hear. If I'm covering my ears, I have a snow jacket on. Okay, I'm not. So there's something wrong with this hair covering. I don't think the spots were here, and the way it's done looks stupid now. I think her nose and face has got a weird pushed in look. Like her nose is, I don't know. There's something wrong. Okay, so all those things. I'm looking at this too, and I can't remember what it was before, but I don't think this was the shirt that was on before. And ironically, I think there might have been some little pattern on this shirt, or maybe the color was different. There's something off with that. I won't swear to that one, but I'm very suspicious. The final thing is I have never seen this We Can Do It. It was just her, and everything was implied. It did not actually say we can do it. And so when Jackie called it the We Can Do It girl, I'm like, what are you even talking about? Rosie, the We Can Do It girl? But it makes sense in this timeline, because there it is. That wasn't in there. In fact, I used to see this all the time, and I wasn't really sure what it had to do with until I learned it was for the war, because there was not that much context. It just wasn't there. So now she's the We Can Do It girl. Tripping me out. Was not there at all. She was a little more centered, and there was no We Can Do It. I don't know why the lack of muscle thing bugs me the most, though. I think it's because I've been lifting weights and I do bicep, and I'm like, and now there's no bicep. I know there was a bicep, because I would say, oh, this younger girl's bicep, she's trimmer and her bicep is smaller, you know, and I used to say, oh, well, the other girl had this big bicep. I don't know. It's just bugging me. It's just something that I know changed. Eyes are weird. Let's see. Yeah, the whole thing, her face, just, I don't know, it's a little, and then, you know, this eyebrow is higher over here than here. It's less realistic. I mean, you're not going to cover your ears unless you're freezing, especially if you're working in a machine shop. You need to hear. Or if it's so bad, then if you got to block your hearing to protect it, you would have earplugs. I mean, this would not stop anything, so... Her plucked eyebrows are weird. It just... The original had more of a natural face. I mean, we're working here. We're not plucking our eyebrows, applying lipstick and rouge and long eyelashes. Yeah, and this one looks... trying to remember. I think that's, now that you mention it, the original girl did look kind of like, not, yeah, kind of that attitude, like, and then I think for a while we were at kind of a smiley one, but now we're more at like kind of an angry looking one again. So that might be a bit of a flip-flop. Scarf had a top knot with small tails. Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of remember what you're saying. I'm not sure on that one, but... She looks more greenish. Okay. Yeah, the coloration. Let's see. Are they all that bad? I think they are all that bad. I need a big one. A big one. Here's another version of it. Man, she looks even more pissy. Yeah, you know, there's this story that she was a real person now. I have never seen that story before, but I did stumble on it now. Her hair was showing in back. I'm not sure on that one. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know on that one. I know what you mean. There's like a green tone. Like you can have a green or a blue or what. It doesn't mean you're actually green, but there's just like a little more of a sallow look. The hair. Oh, okay. Okay. You know what? I think you're right. That would explain it. I do think there was more hair, and then this was... It was just holding back the hair. It wasn't covering all of it. I mean, the face was never good looking like this, but... That might be a little more. And then there was like just a regular tie knot. More realistic. I think you might be on to something there. Wait, I'm here. I'm looking at there. Yeah, see, no, there's no... That's interesting. Okay, so... Rosie, no. Alright, so then, when I was looking up Rosie, I found this Wonder Woman one. So the original Wonder Woman, if you remember her, the live-action Wonder Woman... When was that? From the 80s, I think, was one of the TV series. What color was, if you recall, she had these arm bracelets that she could deflect bullets with, okay? And what color were those? Do you remember what color those were? Fish. Okay, and I have one other thing that I'm going to go to after Wonder Woman. And then we're going to be out of time, so I'm not going to go to my Reddit stuff. Then I've got a month worth of Mandela saved. There's so many. There's so many little Mandelas now. I think in the beginning, any one of these would be like, oh my God. But now we're like, yeah. The other one is, Gust NATO. Has anybody heard of Gust NATO? Did I have Gust NATO on before? Jackie found these. Gust NATO. February 19, 2024. A gust NATO is a brief, shallow, surface-based vortex which forms within the downburst emanating from a thunderstorm. The name is a portmanteau of Elysian. Portmanteau by Elysian. I don't even speak the language of this reality. A portmanteau of Elysian of gust front tornado. As gust nados form due to non-tornadic straight-lined wind features. Who knows if I'm saying any of that right. In the downdraft outflow, specifically within the gust front of strong thunderstorms. Gust nados tend to be noticed when the vortices loft sufficient debris to form condensation cloud. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I kind of understand that part. You can see them once a bunch of crap is in them, is what that part says. Sometimes referred to as spin-up tornadoes. The term more correctly describes the rare tornadic gust NATO that connects the surface to the ambient clouded base, or more commonly to the relatively brief but true tornadoes that are associated with the mesovortex. The most common setting for a gust NATO is along the gust front of a severe thunderstorm. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, there's so many, like, different names of spinny things now that I think they're just trying to, like, kill us with detail. Oh, yeah, Linda Carter changed to L-Y-N-D-A. Yeah, it was L-I-N-D-A. It was 150% L-I-N-D-A Carter. Now it's yeah, that is so wrong. Wonder Woman. All right. I remember him gold. That's my point. It's gold. And it looks stupid. She's got a gold outfit everywhere. And then they had gold. They were gold. Gold. Doink. Okay. This is probably okay here. This is close enough. If it changed, I'm not going to remember. They got the gold whip. That's acceptable. The pants, blue with stars. Yes, these were gold. Okay, and they did not have stupid red stars on them. And these look like cans. Okay. The ones in my timeline were better quality. They didn't look like they cut the bottom out of a can and painted a red star on them. They were gold. And there's another thing that she's missing that I am the first thing I noticed on, ironically, is she used to have a gold, like, I don't know, we call it singlet or something, like a pinchy gold decoration. She actually, I thought she was a little more buffed in my original timeline, but I won't swear to that. But she had a little gold thing that kind of pinched on her arm, and it just kind of looked cool. And that was a cool little piece. I mean, it wasn't a piece of crap. It was a kind of a nice looking jewelry. And here too. So I don't know if it's lower budget here or what, but she definitely had nice. It looked to me like they might have been like a brass or something, but they had a very strong gold color to them. They were actual decent metal, decent looking things. Like you kind of wouldn't mind wearing those just as pretty jewelry, even if you weren't planning to stop bullets. Dust devils or snow devils in the old days. But they're not. They're not, though, I don't think. They have their own real specific bunch of blather. And dust devils, we've had those on, are a different thing. It's ridiculous now. And I can't even keep track of it. Because these are because the updraft touches the blah, blah, blah in the blabosphere. And then these ones over here have a contretemps. You actually kind of have to be like studying them for 4 years to even know what they're talking about. The belt was V-shaped. Oh, okay, wait a minute now. Okay. I wouldn't swear to that, but I might remember this a little different. I was a little on this. But yet I can't really pin it down that well. I remember the bracelets, though, because I just thought they were cool. And I've always thought, and every time I see big, thick bracelets, I think Wonder Woman bracelets. You could stop a bullet, you know? I mean, if you were fast enough, you really could. Like brass gold, yeah. Now she looks like she's got cut off tin cans on her wrists. It's not a good look. Frisbee Advanced. Oh, Jackie, I actually knew about Frisbee golf for like 15 years. And they have we have tons of golf courses in San Diego. And there's a bunch around me. And the park that I like to go to has Frisbee golf. Because all you have to do is put in a couple of those roundy things. And then you kind of have to be careful going through that park. Because they will fly those things like a city block away, and you'll be walking, and all of a sudden a frisbee goes, meow, and there'll be more to follow if they have a lot of people. So yeah, frisbee golf. I did think it was weird when I first heard of it, though. So she had a small shield on and off. I do remember that, but not often, and so I don't expect to see it in every image, of course. I do remember a small shield, rarely. But her little singlet pinched onto her arm, and now it is gone. Did she have like a thingy on her neck too? Now that she doesn't have enough stuff on. I thought she had a gold like a thing like there that would protect her neck. She just looks unadorned in here. She had this gold here. She had this little singlet arm thing, and then she had a pinch thing here, and And she was skinnier. You know, so I feel like she had a little more buff and like her hips were a little smaller. But maybe that's just the current shape of women. Yeah, I've had one for quite some time, the disc golf. Yes, that's the singlet I meant, the thin armlet. I call it a singlet. Maybe it's the wrong word. I'm not sure on that, but I don't know. For the minute I saw, it was actually, there was a Rosie the Riveter next to Wonder Woman in one of the images, and I was like, wait, Wonder Woman's wrong also. I'll tell you, Frisbee golf looks hard. I mean, they fling that thing from so far. But I guess it's hard to get a hole in one, but you don't have to. Earrings. Oh, did she have... I think I vaguely remember earrings. I wouldn't swear, but what I remember is gold danglies. I don't remember reds, actually. She's got little red dots. I don't remember little red dots. I won't swear on that one, but I did think she had, like, some gold danglies. Wonder Woman. Let's see if there's any residual. Da, da, da. Now I'm trying to remember if she had some headband thingy, because that does actually ring a bell that there was a headband thingy. Not this fancy a one, but like something. She just had, oh, here, there's this one. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's approximately right. I won't swear to it. And it was pointy uppy. But I swear she had something on the neck. She had a singlet. Or armlet. Is that the right word? Armlet. See, those are gold. It's better. Not gold. Not gold. That's not gold in that one. That looks ridiculous. Here, it is gold. As it should be. It just doesn't look right if it's not matching. So wrong. Looks like it's gold in that one. So, yeah, she just doesn't have the accessories. The earrings were a little stupid, but that other stuff protecting the throat and all that, that made sense. She's got little red things now, and I don't remember those. Yep, it's the Think Good Thoughts time. I gotta run. It is time to think good thoughts. Was Wonder Woman 1984 that bad? I did not watch it, so I don't know. Yes, yes. Okay. You know the drill. Thank you very much for coming. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.